And so I'd like to conduct the monthly business review for CVG Airport. And we have in attendance today Deborah Croyle, Doug Martin, and Donnie Hall. And I think we may be joined a little bit later by both Matt Lee and Judy Raw. And once again, my name is Robin Yates, Operations Director. I also have Sam Talbert, Glenn Padding, and William Beasley here in the Network Operations Center. And joined remotely is Bill Tappy and Dale Borchard. So let's go ahead and begin. Today we're going to dive into a little bit of what's going on with the dashboard forum. We've made some modifications to the overall structure for both service level management and some of the ticket creation and distribution. We're going to dive into some in-depth metrics on ticket creation, as well as some performance metrics both on network and the Network Operations Center. Also cover any open issues and or observations, and do a monthly summary of kind of project accomplishments and or some upcoming activities. And we'll talk about the overall continual service improvement life cycle. Does anyone have any questions about the agenda? If not, I'm going to go ahead and proceed. And for the month of January, we actually had a much larger uptick in the overall ticket creation, but we had a couple of key items where one of the 6509s in the core actually had a problem with one of the secondary ones. We also had some power-related issues that caused a number of tickets, but there were only 29 really parent events that happened over the month. The performance metrics such as average speed to respond and mean time to repair are certainly within line, and also the speed to resolution overall is in line. But the trend has been pretty low over the last several months. This is one of a couple of new camel humps, and seemingly most of the time it's somewhat power related as some of the cause for multiple ticket generation. This screen is a little bit more, and Deborah, just to make sure, if William, could you respond to all and just send out the PDF of this presentation and make sure everyone has it. As we look at, there was no one singular device that had more than 4 tickets, but we saw where some of the 3750s and 2960s had multiple alerts. For the most part, they are availability type of alerts. You know, whether it's pro curve availability down, or if it's one of the Catalyst 2960 switches is down as well. So from an overall urgent level, it was 2% of them were parent tickets that were considered urgent, and then all of the children tickets that were associated with that kind of upstream outage were categorized as high tickets, with the vast majority of them being kind of normal, if you will, for some of the tier 3 switches. Does anyone have any questions about that? I know some of you may be not being able to see the presentation at this point. Sam is working on sending that out to everyone. But as far as ticket, ticket creation, for good news for everyone, I actually have the fire marshal here doing a survey of our building, and I'm on a conference call at the moment, so they needed to walk into the conference room during my presentation. Sorry about that, but part of our overall. For brief detail is, Glenn, I've highlighted a couple of events. There's 49 tickets around 4 o'clock p.m., and that was where the 6509 core switch had at least the secondary one had a power failure. And that generated a number of children tickets where the uplinks were then lost downstream from those items. And so that happened on a Thursday afternoon about 4 o'clock. You can kind of correlate those two events together and be able to see what the incident was. That was really, of the 81 tickets overall, that's probably single biggest cause. And so it's one master ticket with a lot of children. Any questions on that from just an overall? As Emerge was actually engaged with us to be able to get a replacement part and ship back on site. And I think overall in less than a 24-hour period of time, that secondary device was restored back to normal. Doug, do you have any commentary on that event?
No, not really. Like it played out just like you said. We had a secondary power supply go bad. It was ordered. It was brought in within 4 hours, and Scott put it in and got it up and running. So
yep,
it wasn't a failure.
So the kind of smart net and combination of how we want to do the resolver groups with Emerge had worked out. This was probably the single biggest event, other than a couple months back when we had some NTP failures, of when we've used Emerge to be able to do smart hands and feet on site. So very well executed by everyone. As we look at some of the mean time to resolution numbers, as well as the overall speed to respond, I see that really over the last 2 weeks we've had a couple of tickets that the average speed to respond has been a little bit longer than our typical threshold, well within the 30 minutes, but still above where our sweet spot is. And so to note in this graph here, if you'll notice that the weeks start to wrap around from week 46. This is a 13-week look back, and so the last 6 weeks start the beginning of the chart, and then you'll see it join with week 46. That's just how the analytics portray the history, if you will. As we look at total ticket volume, as well as by group, is week 3 was when the incident occurred, and I can be able to point to it pretty specifically, but for the most part, most of the tickets have been resolved by level 1 resolver groups, and with the exception of on week 4, we had Emerge engaged in one of those 21 tickets. Any questions on the slide view for those that can see it? Dale or Bill Tappy? Did you have a success sending Deborah the PDF? Deborah, are you?
I just opened it just now.
Good. I was making sure I wasn't just talking completely off song sheet for you.
Oh yeah, they're moving right along. I don't know what.
Yeah, Robin, I'm fine here.
Is that Donnie just joined? Someone said that they were on there.
If not, he may be.
Okay. I know he was looking at the screen. I'm not certain that he dialed into the con call. Let me do this. Let me. See if he responds to that. Okay, so Deborah, are you able to see the, I think I'm at slide number 7. Yes.
Okay, yes, I'm there. Remote monitoring, yep.
And this is just around ticket distribution. One of the metrics that we look to hold true is solved with one reply, which means that we have, the knowledge base article quickly at hand to be able to resolve those, and that has all continued to increase over time. Glenn, as he works on issues, if you will, he does a good job of documenting a knowledge base article so that our level 1s can be able to resolve some of the recover and or restore type incidents. I'm going to look at the overall service level metrics over the last several months and get some statistics around those. Those are all holding pretty well true. Even the mean time to resolution for dispatching Emerge which is obviously a little bit above the typical 1 hour, 2 hour type thresholds. Those are all still very well in line. And then our speed to resolution band has continued to remain above 95%. So all the kind of overall statistics, service level objectives have continued to be met. And then as we start to look at specific around level 1, 2, and 3, we also hold a metric around speed to resolution within 2 hours. 99% of those were met, as well as we only had really 3 tickets that were level 4, 5, and 6, which I mentioned earlier were both a combination of sending emerge on site and also some of the power related issues. Does anyone have any questions overall? I think I've repeated myself a couple of different times, not intending to, but just to make sure everyone's up to speed on what these metrics are. Deborah, is this relatively clear for you?
Yes, yes it is.
Good.
All well.
As I look at kind of the overall performance metrics, this is just an executive summary by both device and server availability, and something that kind of from an executive view, just to be able to pass 99.98 availability overall. And Ron has been working with me on, as we look at open issues and our observations, Ron has been working with me on coming up with some pricing schedules as we look to move forward on adding some additional devices. And he was to reach out to Matt and Donnie and Doug, and see what additional devices that they wanted to add. And keeping in mind, Judy wanted to make sure it kept within the cost framework, so they don't have to go out for any capital approvals. But I'd ask him to work on a bill of materials, and which is, I know, one of the upcoming activities, if you will, as we work towards renewal. And then we've talked pretty clearly about the failed power supply, and I don't think we have to go back and revisit that. Or at this point in time, there's no open issues. But as far as upcoming activities, is by the end of the month we'll do a site inventory and apply any new policy modules that we may have. We've got out there that is before end of Q1, but I think we'll be able to tackle that long before then. I wanted to make that kind of synchronous with any new devices that we add, and so after Ron is able to get me back a bill of materials, we'll look at what other devices we want to add to the overall monitoring patch. And there's a note here around schedule a review of up-down monitoring devices and make sure that we're monitoring all the correct IP addresses. There has been some movement and changes, and I want to make sure that the latest machine names for SNMP monitor devices and alias have been added, so that it helps some of the analytics that we have. And I'd like for Glenn to schedule a time with Donnie and or Matt to be able to go over that from just kind of a low-level tech review and make sure that we've got all the device names where we want them. Does anyone have any questions as far as kind of the upcoming activities go?
When were you going to schedule that inventory?
It should be at your convenience, Doug. But I was anticipating it was certainly going to be done before the end of the quarter, but it can certainly be done before the end of the month.
Doug, the inventory is kind of an internal audit for ourselves, just to make sure that we've caught any and all changes on the policy modules, and then we got the best
most updated
that we can put in place. The one that we really need the offline conversation with is to go back and look at the what used to be all your pro curves, or simply up down, and we don't have SNMP on those devices, and so all we have is an IP address. And I was trying to resolve a machine name, because I know you guys name them like concourse and areas that you have them in, so we can put that as an alias, and when the alert does show up, you guys don't have to go digging through your documents to find it.
To answer your question, Doug, is I'd like to schedule something for perhaps next week where you could get yourself, Donnie, and Matt together with Glenn, and he can kind of execute on how to do some additional monitoring over and above just base availability for some of your Tier 3 switches. How does that sound?
That's good. Will Glenn be heading that up, or do we
Yes.
need to schedule that?
Glenn will head that up and schedule appropriately with your team.
That's fine.
So we'll take an action item out of this to put a date on the calendar. I probably will not attend. I'll be traveling next week, but Sam Talbert will probably be the organizer to be able to coordinate the technical teams to work together.
That's fine. I didn't know it. Is Donnie on the message here, or is he just on the?
He is on the video, but not on the audio. I don't necessarily know how or why, but
Okay.
he's taking up a slot at least with the video.
Well, I'll definitely talk with him shortly about that.
Good, good. I figure it was just a coordination effort between Glenn and your technical team, and just to do some further enhancement over and above really what the original contract set out for those devices. And this, once again, this is around Tier 3 devices, correct, Glenn?
Well, the aliases are
Global.
the non-monitor, the non-S&P devices, and then the Tier 3 devices, there's some changes that would happen a lot, but just want to make sure we've got what they want in place.
Sure. It's a validation exercise, if you will, as well as cleaning up some nomenclature. Where we're at in the kind of the overall schema, as we talked back in December, is we've been at a good steady state for several months now. We've continued to improve on some of our time metrics. We're at the stage where taking on some additional monitoring device types, and I know there was an impending event Judy talked about of you guys doing a data center move, and that may be a good appropriate time for us to help with some initial planning on how to monitor some additional devices in your server farm. Deborah, do you have any idea about that overall timing?
No, I don't.
Okay. This was really talked about. Go ahead, Doug.
The only thing I know is that it's going to be around the October timeframe.
Okay. I knew you were still in very much the planning stage or even assessing stage, for those activities. But there was some idea that Ron was going to help with on some additional devices to monitor prior to that, kind of Big Bang event. Are there any questions? I've got Bill Tappy on the line. Bill, do you have anything you want to add to the conversation?
No, I think we're good so far.
Okay. Dale Borchard, go ahead.
We just need to make sure that Ron's involved in all this planning stuff.
Absolutely.
That we're talking about. So.
Absolutely. And he's really going to be the driver for it for us. We'll kind of take his lead. Dale Borchard, do you have anything to add? Welcome you to the team and get a chance to.
No, I really don't have anything else to add. I'm just thanks for you having me, and look forward to working with all you guys.
Good. Dale flies into your airport every so often, so maybe one of these times we can coordinate it so that Dale gets a chance to meet your team. And so as a follow-up action items is we're going to schedule that next week for the technical guys to get together, talk about some additional monitoring procedures, and then we'll have a follow-up with Ron Brigatti on additional devices. Deborah, do you have anything else you want to add? I'm sorry for the confusion for today, but appreciate you joining me.
No, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you.
Did Judy ever join the call?
I guess not.
Yeah.
No,
She had originally accepted, and so I was thinking there would be at least one representative. I knew we couldn't get everyone on the call. I'll make sure I have Ron Brigatti on the next one before we proceed. He seems to doing a good job of coordinating everybody's efforts to get together in one room and one projector and all that. So, from the NOC team, anything you guys want to add? So with that, I'm going to go ahead and conclude the call. I'd like to thank everyone for attending, and this will conclude the monthly business review for January 2013.